What a big idiot I am. Hey, what's up? It's Battle and Eli. Welcome back into the Battleground podcast, iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast. And I made I made a rookie mistake during our interview today. I was changing some things out because we have all this new fancy, logos and layouts and all this other stuff. So I was switching it over to the 3-screen instead of the 2-screen. Well, when I switched it over to the 3-screen with our guest, Matt Cardona, today, I realized I didn't hit record after I started asking Cardona my first question.
Yeah.
And that's a rookie mistake on my part. We've been doing this since 2018.
And it's not as bad as it could have been. I mean, it was like 90 seconds, so we just missed the first little bit. But
it could have been worse. It could have been like somebody else we know that, did an entire interview with somebody. By the way, this is not Eli. Did an entire interview with somebody and then realized after the interview was done, they never hit record.
Mm-hmm.
I realized it maybe 90 seconds in. So you came in on a good point on the show, but my apologies for not hitting record for everybody that subscribes to the podcast, and we'll shame me.
Making sure you do it each and every week to stay consistent. We did 300 episodes, never missed a week, no BS best ofs, and we have 3 hosts who are 3 pro wrestlers on different rosters. So sometimes the scheduling gets a little messed up, but we figure it out by any means necessary. So I'm proud of the fact that 300 episodes, never missed a week, never late, no BS best ofs. I'm definitely proud of that, but it wasn't easy.
Well, I also want to point out, I don't know when this will drop, but today is the 14th. So happy birthday to the Indy God.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And I was curious, did we come up with a name for the injury? There was a lot of speculation on Twitter, what it looked like. Like, did we land on something?
Hey, if you've seen it, you've seen it. It's getting better by the day. But I put a post out there when they first took off that bandage and said, "Whoa, I know what this looks like, but if I say what it looks like, might be a little, it might come off the wrong way." So I just did a little caption this, and there were a lot of creative responses to that. So
there was, yes. Steph was leading the charge on some of those as well. So
I bet she was.
Yeah.
Well, one pro wrestling story, of course, has made the waves the last few months is, soft ground wrestling in Uganda. You had former WWE superstars Mason Mansoor recently helped raise $29,000 for this upstart promotion.
Wild.
Insane. And they just announced that they got their own wrestling belt too. With several big names in the business showing their supports, once you kind of get back on the horse as the Indy God, what does the story do for your wrestling heart? And could we see a shock appearance?
Well, I think, those guys, they know what they're doing. They got their finger on the pulse. So they've been there. So I don't want to be the second guy to go. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw it, I thought, wow, this is cool. I was like, damn, I should have thought of this. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's great for what they did, especially the fact that they raised all that money. But just forget the goodwill for a second. Just the fact that they were smart enough to know how popular and viral and buzzworthy that stuff is to put themselves in that situation. Genius. Kudos to them. And then the fact that they raised so much money for them. Oh man, even better.
Yeah.
Well, I think at some point, and I was going to say, we'll probably see Cardona fighting for their belt at some point. I mean, you love collecting those belts.
Well, I'm only going if it's a title match.
Right. There you go.
And I have creative control,
Right.
For sure.
Well, speaking of you continuing to stay busy, and this one says always bloody, but always ready. One of the monikers. You made headlines recently. You returned to the kingdom known as GCW. Now, as the acting GM, obviously had a controversial decision that night as well. How much of a different mentality is it to wear, kind of wear this GM hat as opposed to wearing the talent hat at a show?
Well, like I said a couple of weeks ago, I took 2 weeks off, and then I made I don't want to say return. I was only out for a few weeks, but went to GCW. But just being the GM, I mean, I was on the show 4 times as opposed to wrestling 15-minute match with a 5-minute promo.
Right.
So I was doing more work as the GM.
True.
So I'll be making the towns, and I don't want to just be there to be there. I want to be there to contribute on camera, off camera. And I think that's where, I think that being the general manager will, of course, keep my face out there and it'll keep me busy, but it'll also allow me to focus on other things in GCW. I have no skin in the game there. I don't own any piece of the company, but I do feel like GCW is my home. And, that night that I wrestled Nick Gage a few years ago, I feel like I put them on the map, GCW, that night, but I feel like they put Matt Cardona on the map. So I'm forever, I don't want to say in debt, but forever grateful. And I'll do whatever I can to see GCW get to that next level, but not just GCW, any company that I go to and spend time in, NWA included. I definitely want to see NWA get to the next level. And these past couple months, while I haven't been there, to see what they've been doing, to see them on CW, to see them, working with Puerto Rico, Billy with his own show, so much cool stuff. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and it's always cool to see it. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
So, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say we saw EC3 was announced for All Japan. He's going to be defending the 10 pounds of gold in All Japan.
Really? So, I did not see that.
Yeah, announced. I think they announced it yesterday. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, they're definitely getting out there.
Absolutely. And of course, getting out there June 1st, NWA Knoxville back to the territories comes to you live in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tickets still available. You can grab them starting at $20. So what kind of brings you back to the NWA? And could we see some of that GM power influence here as well? Because it seems like Billy's just kind of running the show. It's Billy, Joe, and Kyle, but they don't have somebody like really, really doing stuff.
Listen, I'll say this. Billy Corgan's a smart man. And he uses his money wisely. He's not just bringing in Matt Cardona to wave to the people. There's a plan in place, and when the time is right, we will reveal it. But like I said, I'm going to be there, and it's going to be impactful. I'm not just there to shake hands and sign autographs. I'm there to make a difference, and we'll find out June 1st, probably before a little teaser of what I'm going to be doing there, but I'm excited to get back involved with NWA. Like I said, I'm never really gone, and that's the great thing about Matt Cardona, my relationship with NWA, is that I'm always, you see behind me, I got the 10 pounds of gold. I'm super proud to be a former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I also feel like I never really lost it, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah,
that is true.
So one thing you mentioned earlier was you unofficially you put GCW on the map, and I'll go ahead and say officially you did. You also put the 10 pounds of gold on the map. Let's just be honest. I mean, that the title wasn't doing much before you got it. So you put that on the map as well. Is that a personal goal for you to reclaim that belt? Especially as you mentioned, you never did lose it. No one pinned your shoulders for the belt.
Yeah, let me just say this. EC3, we've had our differences, but he is busting his ass as champion. He's doing whatever he can. You just said All Japan. I had no idea he was going to All Japan. I see him going all these places, wrestling people I've never heard of, giving people opportunities, and also wrestling people, of course, who could very well beat him for the title. And he's still the champion. And he beat me in that death match. He beat the death match king in a death match. Right. So kudos to him. But yeah, I would definitely love to sink my teeth into that title one more time, to bring that title all over the world one more time. When I was the champion, I brought it places. I brought it on my goddamn honeymoon. That's how proud I was to be the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. And to give that title up due to injury, it sucked, right? And I can bitch and moan all day about how I never truly lost it, but EC3, the current champion, did beat me, but I wasn't the champion when he beat me. So
that's true.
I would like to have one last match with EC3 just to see, all right, who is the better man?
Yeah. And you talk about EC3 like defending that. I mean, I watched him last weekend defend that against Chase Stevens in a high school gymnasium in Portland, Tennessee. So, I mean, he's all over the place with that belt. And, NWA, a lot of people talking about him here recently with all the new additions and everything that's been going on, this, that, and the other. Who has been some of the, the standout talent for NWA in your eyes outside of EC3?
Right. Well, listen, of course, I'm still keeping my finger on the pulse, seeing what's going on right now in NWA. But I just love the NWA. It's got this different vibe, this old school vibe. And to see guys get these opportunities that maybe they didn't get in other places. Guys like Mike Knox, Trevor Murdoch, who are still going, right? So it's just a great atmosphere of people who maybe never got their opportunity, maybe someone who wants a second chance, or people you've never heard of. That's what I think is the best mix about NWA, is that locker room is so hungry. Like I said, people just dying to get that first opportunity, or people who are maybe at the end of their career, but not quite yet. They still got something left inside them. And I can kind of relate to that.
Right.
You know, like you said, it's my birthday. I just turned 39. I'm not getting any younger. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting older and older. I feel like I'm in the prime of my career, but you know, the way us as athletes are taking care of ourselves, you look at guys like Adam Copeland, Christian, Jericho, Dustin Rhodes at the top of their game, like in their 50s. So what I love about NWA is you get this mixture, all different ages, all different backgrounds, and they're all just trying to make NWA a better place. But in the back of their mind, they're all trying to be the best. So that's what I love about NWA. It's a team effort, but they also, deep down inside, they're trying to be the best. They're going after EC3's title.
Yeah. So this is specific to the territories and everything. So like, I think our age group, like, you know, the territories were around when we were younger, but by the time I think we got into it, it was pretty much like WWE, WWF, like it kind of, the lines were, you know, so it wasn't like our dad's generation, stuff like that.
Sure.
But what do you think about the NWA bringing back this new concept of territories? I mean, do you think that's going to work in 2024, or is it just kind of an outdated model, or what are your thoughts on that?
I certainly think it can work. Billy's a very, very smart guy. You know, like he said it before. So many people counted him out with Smashing Pumpkins. Oh, they're done. It's over. Right. They'll never be back. Now they're selling out jam-packed arenas, stadiums, right? And I feel like the NWA could do the same thing, because, you know, Eric Bischoff says it best, like greater than, less than, different than, you know? And NWA is so different from everything else mainstream, and it's so old school, but what's old is new. Not just in this business, but in life. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for NWA to step up, and especially adding all these territories all over the country, all over the world. Like right now, in the past 4 years, one of the things I'm proud of is that I think I've proven that you don't need to be in WWE or AEW to be a successful pro wrestler. And what is success? Well, I don't care how you define it. Do you define it by accolades? Do you define it by money? Do you define it by happiness? Because guess what? However you define it, I'm the most successful I've ever been in my career. And I think, I know that NWA and these territories can really just light a new fire in wrestling, because people, they just want to consume wrestling. This is the best time to be a wrestler, best time to be a wrestling fan. There's wrestling on television or a streaming service or something every night of the week. There's independent wrestling shows. You can interact with your favorite wrestler on social media. Like if I was a kid and I want to tell Bushwhacker Luke that he sucked, I'd have to write a letter, send it to the WWF headquarters in Stanford, and maybe he'd get it. Now you can just tweet the person, and then guess what? They might see it and they might respond. So it's just a wild time in pro wrestling. I think sometimes we take advantage of it because we're living in the moment, right? If you take a step back and you really think about it, this is the absolute best time to be a wrestler, a wrestling fan, a wrestling promoter. And I just want to see everybody win. There doesn't need to be, you know, A versus B versus C. Like we could all win together.
Right.
And you mentioned that it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, because I mean, we're here in Nashville, where pretty much, you know, sort of the unofficial birthplace of wrestling outside of Memphis was. And like, I go to these like little shows on a Saturday night in a high school gymnasium. At that show with EC3 and Chase Stevens, 600 people in a high school gymnasium.
It's unbelievable
to watch that. And it was like Jay Lethal wrestled a buddy of mine that's a local wrestler here. And like, you had Chase Stevens versus EC3. Chris Michaels is wrestling Alex Taylor, and 600 people to watch wrestling on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's just insane. And like you said, it's definitely a great time to be a wrestling fan. And, you know, the thing that a lot of us were pretty excited about when Adam Copeland did his, you know, open challenge, Your Music Hits, that crowd in Ontario lost their damn mind. Can you speak about that match, and would you do anything different if you could restart it?
Well, I tried to fucking win. I did try to win, but I did not win. But man, that night, it was such, you know, a spur of the moment deal. And just that entrance, you know, having that entrance kind of made these 4 years worth it, in the sense that, like, I never wanted to prove anybody wrong. Like, okay, if I do, great, right? But that wasn't the mission. The mission wasn't to prove anybody wrong. It was about proving myself right and my fans right. And when I heard the holy shit, literally holy shit chants during my entrance, I said, you know what? I think I proved myself right. I think I proved my fans right. And I got goosebumps right now just talking about it, because it was a dream match that I thought I would never get. I thought when he retired, well, first, we're in the Edge heads. We have the big match at WrestleMania, Edge versus Undertaker, Hawkins and Ryder do a run, and that's WrestleMania 24. I was just so naive because everything was just clicking for us. I'm like, oh, next year we'll probably do like a triple threat, Edge versus Hawkins versus Ryder. No, the next year, Hawkins and Ryder are lumberjacks in the pre-show tag team match. You know what I'm saying? So I thought, oh man, and then Edge has to retire. I'm like, all right, I'm never gonna have the match. Then he comes back to WWE. I get fired from WWE. I'm like, all right, are we ever gonna have this match? Then he's in AEW. I was like, it could possibly happen here because AEW, that forbidden door, they let anybody in if the opportunity is right. And when the Cope Open was there, I accepted, and it was literally a dream come true. And I've never watched the match back because I know how I felt that night and in that moment. I don't want to watch it back and critique stuff. What I could have done differently. I just want to remember that night, the feeling, right, as I felt it in that moment. But once I get a taste of it, man, I would love a round two. Certainly would love a round two.
Maybe what you could do is when you win that NWA title back, you'd have your own open challenge, and then he could come in and try to challenge you for the NWA title.
Listen, like I said, EC3 has been a great champion, and I'm not taking anything away from him. Like I said, he beat me in my own game. He beat me in a death match. He beat the death match king in a death match, the ultimate match of death. So kudos to him. But the crown wasn't on the line. Only the 10 pounds of gold. It was a non-crown match. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But again, I would love another opportunity with EC3 because this injury, yes, it came at a bad time, but maybe I needed to get injured. Maybe I just needed not to get remotivated or refocused. I'm very focused, very motivated, but maybe I just needed hotter fire under my ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need that flame up my ass just a little more. I think one thing I've been missing this whole time past my WWE run, I've never been bitter and I've never had a chip on my shoulder, but maybe I'm starting to get it though. And maybe that's what's going to take me to that next level. Seeing people who, listen, I don't think anyone deserves anything. I don't think I deserve anything. People earn, and some people get what they earn. Some people don't get it. That's just life, right? That's just business is. That's how life is. But maybe I needed to be injured to see all these other people kind of rising, whether it be EC3 as a champion or seeing guys like Nick Nemeth, right, taking over Mexico, Japan, or while I'm out, Ethan Page leaving AEW. Now I see him capitalizing on the news. I know he's a very creative guy, and I'm sitting here and I can't move my goddamn arm, right? And so I'm getting a little bitter, a little angry, but maybe that's what I need, a little extra edge. No pun intended for when I come back.
Yeah. Well, and another idea that you could go with is Edge and Zack Ryder are no longer with us, but
that's right. Rest in peace.
Cardona, right? So you could maybe do a group of Cardona and Copeland instead of Edge and Ryder.
Hey, I'm always. Oh, here's my dog just joined us. Hey, Walt, hey, buddy.
It's a run-in.
A run-in from Walt live. Anything can happen here at Battleground Podcast. Walt's doing a run-in. Oh my God. Yeah, listen. Oh, he just wants to get pet. I'm ready for any opportunity. I guess the best part about me, not to toot my own horn, but by design, I never wanted to sign anywhere because I like it. I could be showing up in AEW. I could show up in GCW. I could show up in NWA. Matt Cardona could be everywhere. And that's what I intend to do. I intend to be everywhere. I intend to show up everywhere. I intend to be dominant everywhere. Listen, this isn't about giving anyone else the rub. If I help other places out or other people out, so be it. But this is my run. This is my Hollywood Hogan run. This is my run where I'm not here to pass the torch. I'm here to light a new one for myself. And I think I've done a great job with it. But I want that fire, like I said, to go a little higher. I want a bigger torch and a bigger flame. And that's what I intend on doing when I make my in-ring return.
And it's going to be an exciting time, especially when we see you jump back in the ring, not with a microphone talking GM duties when you're in there kicking ass duties.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not telling people when I'm coming back.
No.
You know, that's the best part about this. You know, I'm telling people I'm going to be out for a year plus. That's what I'm saying when people ask, year plus, because it's gonna be sooner than that. And I don't want anyone to expect it. It's going to be somewhere where you just think Matt Cardona's coming out with a little microphone in his hand.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, he's going to make history one more time.
I like that.
Well, let's let people know where we can keep up with you online, talk about major pods, anything you want to plug before we let you go.
Oh, I have too much to plug. Would be another hour, but listen, just follow me on social media at the Matt Cardona. I have my own podcast, the Major Wrestling for Your Podcast. You know, this time away from the ring, it's not a vacation. Right. I'm just as busy, if not more busy. Got the toy line, Major Bendies. So it's been a lot of fun. You know, right now we're doing these figures, these throwback figures. We call them big rubber guys, kind of like the LJN figures of the 80s. Yep. Hey, listen, NWA needs some figures, I think. You know, so Billy, if you're listening, we could talk business. Little Billy Corgan, big rubber guy, you know, with that removable NWA hat. Got that nice beautiful bald head underneath. You never know. Can make EC3 with the strap.
There you go.
There's a lot of people out there. A lot of Toyota. Got Tom Latimer. Oh, let me back up. You asked who I see in NWA who really stands out. Tom Latimer, for sure. This guy, you look at him and it's like, oh, that's a pro wrestler, right? He looks like he looks like $1 billion, and he's a pro's pro. And I think it's only a matter
he makes
of time.
everyone looks good in the ring too. He's one of those, you know, almost like a Ric Flair. Like he can put anyone in there, he's gonna make them look good.
He's a pro's pro, and NWA, you know, and EC3, you know, they're just so connected. And EC3 has been such a dominant champion. But if there's anybody in NWA who could beat EC3 for the title, it's Tom Latimer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, Matt, I know your time is precious because, time is money, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. So, again, thank you for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you in Knoxville June 1st with NWA.
I'll see you guys there. Thanks for having me.